Welcome to Suav City for all things rock and R&B. I'm Chalita Suav, and I'm here to make a video about the Evo 16, and it's my final video on the Evo 16 because I'm reaching the end of my warranty time with this interface, which means I am the only one who's actually probably ran this interface that's made it a review on YouTube. 90% of the people on YouTube making a review on this interface, I guarantee you have only had it for like a week or a month, and then just make a review and then get rid of it. This was my daily driver for the last 3 years, and well, 2.5, and I'm gonna tell you my pros and my cons, but we start with the cons here because that's what you're here for. And I'm gonna tell you my advice if you're going to buy it and get it after watching all these YouTube videos and landing on mine. So here are my cons on the interface. Let's start with number one. This might be redundant if you've seen my other videos. Headphone outs, if you are dry input monitoring, are way too quiet. If you are a band, I'm just going to tell you, this is not the interface for you. Because not only are there not enough headphone outs for dry input monitoring, they're just too quiet. And someone asked me, can you use the other outputs off the back? Because there's 8 as headphone outs. And that's a complicated answer. You can, but you probably won't be able to get as much out of it as you're thinking you will. So let me explain. If you go here, you can make the output mono, which is great. Now the back is going out one side separately rather than stereo. Now, the annoying thing with the Evo 16 on this here is if you go to settings and you look, even though I made this mono, the Q for 5.6 would be B, is still in stereo. So even if I did this and separate it in here, it doesn't separate over here. You have to also click it here to separate. Now, this is where the other thing comes into play. I'm going to separate all these. And one thing you'll notice is that 2 people will have to share in order for you to get an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 headphone outs. You can have them all mono, but those 2 people will have to share, those 3 people will have to share, those 2 people will have to share a mix, and then these 2 people get their own mix. The only way for people to actually have their own mix on this interface is for it to be stereo, and you get something like this. This is the S1 Leon. I got it on Amazon for like $40, but it's fantastic build quality, and you can use it live. I would suggest buying this in general for your studio. I think it's a good buy. But you can get a stereo headphone out this way. Now, just to note, it does not have a 1/4 inch headphone jack. It is like just your 1/8 inch headphone jack, like it would for any other IEM pack. So this is a great source if you are going to get in this interface and you want to add additional stereo headphone outs. I would suggest getting the S1 Leon. I know there's a Behringer one that looks just like this, but this is a better build quality. Trust me, I have seen the Behringer one plenty of times, and it is plastic. This one's solid and much more trustworthy. So yeah, that's the problem. You can use it, you can turn them to mono. It's a little annoying that just because you put it into mono here doesn't mean it's actually coming out mono out the back. You have to come over here and then make it mono again to actually get it to become mono, and then you'll hear it on both sides. There's no way to get stereo out of just plugging into one of those like you would out your headphone jack out the front. There's no stereo capability with that. So in order to do that, you gotta get yourself one of these. Now, there's another thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to this interface, and I'm just gonna look over at my notes here because there's a couple of more cons I want to talk about. I talked about the headphones. I talked about the setup from stereo to mono and what the annoying thing is, but I wanted to talk about the latency on this interface if you go anything higher than 44.1, and clipping that will happen. And what I mean by clipping is the little clicks you get in your recording sometimes. This interface does not like recording anything higher than 44.1. And I have an M2 Max, so it has nothing to do with my computer. It's 100% just the interface. Something about going at 48 and higher. It's really bad with latency. It's only USB, that's number one, so it's obviously not going to be able to record super fast. But I've noticed trying to record at 48 and a higher fidelity, it will start to get some clicks in the recordings that I don't experience that much at 44.1, if at all. So if you are a person that likes to record with higher fidelity, this interface is not for you. You are going to experience extreme latency, especially when you're playing back from the DAW. That's when you're experiencing it the most. I think the lowest I can get it to was like 5.8, which is basically 6 milliseconds. And playing guitar, I felt that immediately. And if you're singing, you're going to feel that. And that means when you're singing, everything is going to be that many milliseconds off, and it's very obvious. That going higher than 5 milliseconds is extreme. But yeah, I go to 44.1, and then I can bring that down to like 3, and it's really nice and even. So yeah, if you want to record at higher fidelities, interface is not going to be cut it for you. And then I wanted to talk about one more thing. When this interface first came out, there was one thing that everybody talked about: auto input gain. In fact, this was the first interface to come out with this feature. After this one came out, like 10 other interfaces came out with the same feature. And because of the price range they put this at, they altered the interface game and they made it worse. Let me explain. When this interface first came out, you could buy the Focusrite Scarlett for, let's say, about the same $500, $500 to $700. But ever since the Evo 16 came out, they made some changes. So I'm going to pull up a picture here because this is very important to kind of explain what's going on. So this was the Scarlett back in when I first bought this interface. It had a bunch of knobs. So this is where I say the auto input gain is a gimmick, right? You have one knob to control all of your gain. So with this interface, it's the only way to actually set up gains really fast, because they only give you one knob at $500, and they give you the auto input gain as a gimmick to say, hey, look how fast you can change all the gains. Oh, we're also not going to give you the option to be able to change it any faster. Scarlett had it. It was perfect. At that range, at a similar price range, the Scarlett was like $500. I remember on my other video I said it. It's about the same price, but for the features, it's kind of kicking up towards the Claret. And now, hindsight, no, they're at the same level, but Evo 16 ruined our interfaces at this range. I'm going to show you what just happened. So keep in mind that the picture I just showed you displayed that in 2025, the whatever version of the Scarlett was out had 8 gain knobs for you to just adjust like that. Now let me introduce to you the 2026 Scarlett. Claret's the higher ones. The Scarlett. Same interface, just new edition. Tell me, did we downgrade or what? Where are all the knobs? We have 2 headphone outs. And, oh, they beat the Evo 16 by adding an output knob and an input knob. But we lost 7 knobs. We only have 1 now. And this one is supposed to do it for all of these. And I guarantee you, if I watch the video, they probably included auto input gain. Auto input gain is a gimmick to get rid of 7 knobs and then charge you more for 7 extra knobs. Because the Claret still has 8 knobs. But they go, oh, why are we doing both of them with 8 knobs? Only the Claret should have 8 knobs because the Evo 16 only has 1. And they're charging the same as we are at $500. We're giving them too much for $500 now. So let's get rid of the knobs. And now, look what we're doing. We have 1 knob for all your gain, 1 knob for all your output. And I guarantee you, I haven't seen the videos for this because I just realized this because I was trying to show you that, oh, the Scarlett has 8 knobs. I had to hunt to find the other picture because I couldn't find it. Because all of them are just showing the new one. The old one was so much better. It had so many more knobs and control, and our new one has dwindled us down to one knob because of the Evo 16. Let me tell you, you would be a lot better off having those knobs and putting the gain exactly where you need it than the auto gain. I would have rather have taken 8 knobs over 1 knob with auto input gain. And the reason I say that is, number one, auto input gain only works for maybe drums because they're loud all the time and it'll set it right. But vocals, piano, like guitar, if you're recording anything via a mic like that, it'll always be way too hot. It's because the thing is, it's like, it's not taking into account whatever your channel strip is before you hit the DAW. It's not taking into account anything like that. If you are a good tracking engineer, chances are you are committing things on the way in, like compression, EQ, stuff like that. And the auto input gain will probably set it way too high. It's only thinking about itself. It's not thinking about anything else in your recording process. And the fact that when this interface came out, it nerfed our other interfaces in the same price range kind of makes me mad. Let me know in the comments if you see what I'm saying. The new Focusrite no longer has these pre knobs. It is now just the one knob. And I have no idea. I had no idea until I was making this video, and it makes me so upset. So if you take anything from this video, the Evo 16 kind of killed our market for the worse. But anyhow, let's talk about the pros, right? Let's talk about the pros of this interface. Let's talk about why I haven't sold it already. Let's talk about things that you should do if you are going to buy it. And my advice for alternatives to this instead of buying this one. So, number one, I would say with this interface is the ease of use. It is very easy of an interface to understand and use. There are a lot more complicated interfaces out there. There are interfaces with worse UIs than the mixing software on the Audient. I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen the Focusrite one. This is way cleaner, way better than the Focusrite one. And I think my next interface choice I'm looking at, which is that Fender one that's Studio One based, because I'm a Studio One guy. Unfortunately, it's the same idea. I might go away from that and actually go for that Claret now that I think about it, with those 8 pre's and having the knobs, because I do think I prefer that. It took its UI from this one, but the Focusrite one is kind of choppy, not that beautiful. This is very easy to use, straightforward, regardless of that whole stereo to mono output thing. Very easy to look around and get to where you need to go. It's nice to be able to just hit one button and it jump to where you need it as far as the playback goes. And yeah, it's just a fairly easy setup and use. I have no complaints as far as this goes. I mean, it sounds great at 44.1. I've never had any issues with the recordings of it. Has 48 volts per channel, which is one thing I do like. I do not like having phantom power as a whole, like 1 through 4 gets phantom. I don't want to send phantom to a mic that doesn't need it, okay? If I want phantom, I'm going to put it on that specific channel. That is one thing I do remember not liking other interfaces for. I believe it is one of the Focusrite. It might even be the Scarlett that does 1 through 4 and then 6 through 8 or 5 through 8 for phantom power. Yeah, and I believe that's what I'm looking at right here. When you look at this, you see that I think that's 5 through 8, and on top it's 1 through 4 on the phantom. That's one thing I did not like about that interface, is that you have to apply phantom to multiple at a time rather than just the one you want to throw a phantom to. I prefer that. That's more console-like, and to me, I just rather have that. So, that's one thing I do really like about this interface, having phantom power for the whatever ones I want. It's nice also that there are 2 easily accessible mic pre's out the front that can also be used for instruments. However, sometimes it's nice to have them all out the back for a cleaner desk setup if that's your situation. LEDs are nice. Now, the screen is tiny. I don't use it that much, but it's useful every now and then to see that everything's going where you need it to go. I typically use my function key as the dim. That's very nice that you can adjust your function key to be whatever you want. I use it as a dim, and so it always goes to like 50% of whatever I'm at. So I could just, someone trying to make a phone call to me, I can quickly boom, dim it, pick up the call. I'm not blasting music into the phone call. Or just, you live in a house with other people and all of a sudden it's nighttime. Rather than turning the whole knob down, I just hit dim and it's already at a better volume. Then that's just when I'm watching whatever videos or whatever, when I'm not working on music and whatnot. And so those are the pros about it. I think auto input gain is good if you're a drummer. Just don't use it on vocals and stuff like that. Having 48 phantom power control per channel is a great plus for me. So those are everything. That's everything I'd have to say about this interface. UI is great. Good customer service. I've had issues with it. I have made video on my last video. I did show you guys what happens to it, and this is going to lead me to my advice when it comes to this interface, what I would suggest doing. So I'm going to insert some B-roll here of my power conditioner. So when I got this, I got a power conditioner to turn on all my speakers at the same time, and that was great. But then when I got this interface and it doesn't have a switch off the back, and the way it likes to turn off is off of a button on the front where you hold it and then hit shut down, and then you wait for that to shut down, then it shuts down. There are other interfaces that's literally just a switch and you're fine. And those do typically better, I would say, with the Furman sort of thing. What I find is if you're not doing the proper shutdown on this interface, it can tank on you very quickly, which means you're going to want a multi-switch power conditioner. So I switched from the Furman M8X2 to the Eliminator E107 USB with the blue switches. Simply because my next interface will probably be the one that integrates into Studio One. If not, I'll go for that Claret because that's about the same price range, and that's where I'm at with interfaces right now. I would suggest getting a multi-switch so that you can shut down the individual interface and then shut down a switch for that, and also be able to shut down your speakers without shutting down your interface. Because one of the things that you just want to get in the habit of, that way whenever you if you ever start working in the live world, you already have this ingrained in you. Or if you want to work in a bigger studio, this is just something you need to do. Turn your speakers off before you turn everything else off. You don't want to hear pops and stuff. Or blow your speakers. You never know. You could have a loud pop depending on how much stuff is being shut down. So I always prefer being able to shut down my speakers before my interface. So the multi-switch has been a game changer for me. It also allows me to use my docking station for my computer, so my mouse and my keyboard can be powered on, and if I don't want any speakers, I don't have to have them on. I could just have the interface on and put on my headphones and my speakers are off, not drawing power. So I love the multi-switch, and I think it's way more powerful and more useful than probably a one switch is for most people, and especially for this interface, I would suggest getting a multi-switch so you can have this one on its own individual switch to control the power cycle for it and shut it down properly. I like to cut the power to it and then kick it on with the switch. It does great turning on with the switch, but it does not do well when it comes to constant shutting off without it doing its power cycle. So let it do its power cycle, and I would suggest doing a multi-switch if you're going to buy this. And once again, I would invest in the S1 and Leon so that you can get more headphone outs out of your interface. Typically, the most I'll ever need is 4, so that's perfectly fine with me. And having 2 of these solves my problem of only having 2 stereo headphone outs. And now I have 4 with having 2 of these. So obviously, you're going to have to get your TRS-2 XLR to utilize these, but it's totally worth it, and an upgrade I definitely would look into doing. And yeah, if you have any questions about the Evo 16, feel free to ask me. I probably know more about this interface than most people on YouTube right now, because most of them probably don't even have it anymore. So yeah, that is the video. Evo 16 at the end of 3 years. My next interface, like I said, I'm looking at the Quantum, which is now the Fender Quantum. It's newer than this one. It came out around the same year. I'm considering it because I'm a Studio One guy and I like integration, and I think it would work perfectly with the blue switches. If I go Claret, I might just swap this for the earlier version and get the red switch eliminator. But as of now, I'm still going to be holding on to this. I got to wait a bit before I purchase my next interface. But the ones I'm looking at are the ones that integrate Studio One and the Focusrite Claret. I might even wait for them to do the 4th gen Claret and see what's new on that before I purchase a Claret. I just kind of seeing what's there, but I know that this interface is probably going to last me maybe 1 more year before I switch it out. For something that is more so what I think is better for me and what I prefer. And I'm starting to realize I like my gain knobs. I don't want to have to go into button to gain, button to gain, button to gain. I'd rather be able to do that over auto input gain, because I'm really good at setting my gain levels. It's not hard for me. I think this is really good for entry levels that don't know about gain, but even then, I think it also limits you from learning because it's doing it for you. I would honestly tell you guys, get one where you have to learn how to put your own gain. Obviously you can put your own gain, but learning how to do that is also very valuable in itself. So I wouldn't necessarily give it all the praise in the world just because it's doing it for you. Sometimes doing it yourself is better. So yeah, peace out. Once again, I have been Chalita Suav, and this is Suav City for all things rock and R&B. I will be posting some things on tips and tricks on Studio One, and just showing you guys how I make music, and just try to do more musical content than just talking stuff here. I know YouTube can tend to prefer talking head videos and stuff, but I want to do more of my creative stuff on this channel. So hopefully here in the near future you will start to see that more. So have a good one.